All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another Stock Market Outlook video powered by DeepView. This is my daily driver for charting, screening, watch list management, alerts, the works, and it's a very exciting project. If you haven't checked this out, check out deepview.com. We've got a special offer, 2 months for $39. This is the best platform for growth stock, swing, and position traders, period. And you can try it out for yourself using that special promo. As always, today we're going to walk through the leading indexes. We're going to talk through current themes as well as run through a bunch of leading stocks as well. We're at a pretty interesting point right now in the market. We just had the NVDA earnings report. A lot of noise is going on, but price action is what we're really going to be focused on today. And we're going to let the charts speak for themselves. So I'll kind of go through a lot of different names and symbols. Let me know as we go your thoughts down below. I'd really be interested in hearing that. And of course, please go ahead and leave a like, subscribe if you're enjoying this, and comment down below. That helps kind of push this to a wider audience that lets YouTube know that this is valuable. And I would really appreciate hearing your thoughts as well. One more thing before we get into today's video, I do want to mention that we're doing a Labor Day sale over on Traderline University. That's up to 40% off our masterclasses with Stan Weinstein, Oliver Kell, hedge fund managers, John Boyk. There's so many amazing resources over there. I've learned an immense amount through our masterclasses, and I think they're the best resources out there to really accelerate your learning curve. So if you're serious about learning to trade, go ahead and check out traderline.com/university. I'll link that down below. And if you're looking at all our masterclasses, you don't know where to start, I'd highly recommend the swing trading masterclass. I think that's the best kind of starter course to get into. But again, that's traderline.com/university. With that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. We've got a chart of the QQQ here. And you can see we closed really well last week. We're pulled back to that 21 EMA. We're below kind of, we're right at the spot where all the moving averages are coiled. We closed Friday right near highs after kind of testing these lows in the 21 EMA. And we look set up for higher prices. I know a lot of people seem to be very negative on the market. They're expecting us to now, pull back all the way down to these lows, especially after the NVIDIA gap down on earnings. We'll definitely take a look at that chart later on. But I just don't really see that. I see us basically having had a nice push higher. We got a little bit short-term extended. We had this downside reversal. This let us know that we might need some, pullback correction. We've pulled back close to the 50-day moving average, this line of resistance, and we're holding that 21 EMA. So far, just kind of a normal EMA crossback. And now we're forming this range over the past 3 days. You can see these highs right near close to each other, these lows close to each other, holding that 21 EMA area. And to me, it looks like if we progress higher of this range, we'll try to test the high of this handle and hopefully get back to those all-time highs. This gap above has kind of been some key resistance, so we'll see if we can finally push into that. But that's kind of my expectation looking at this chart, is that we're set up for a move higher, but I'm always open to any scenario. So if we do reverse downwards, that would be an expectation breaker based on this Friday close. Obviously, we've got a shortened trading week next week, but if we take out these lows and really close below them, that would change my expectation, and that would say, hey, we need more consolidation. Maybe we'll pull back deeper, fill some of these gaps down here. But right now, as long as we stay above that rising 21 EMA, my rule set, my trading rules, my market cycle rules tell me that we're in an uptrend and to act accordingly. Moving on down, let's take a look at QQQE. So there's equal weight. This looks even a little bit stronger, a little bit higher within that handle. Again, we pull back to the 50 SMA area, 21 EMA confluence, also lining up with these prior highs. And again, looks set up for higher prices. We'll see if this closed Friday, follows through higher. That would be kind of the expectation. But of course, we'll take it day by day and see how it goes. Moving on to SPY. This again looks really strong, even closer to all-time highs, or these prior highs here, and very strong close on Friday. We really ripped into the close, which really, solidified that strong action. And also, I do want to mention down here, we've got 2 breadth indicators that are pretty key that I use. This is kind of my market monitor dashboard. This allows me to quickly review the index ETFs as well as get a sense of breadth as well. So net new highs, new lows looks pretty strong, and breadth is trending the right way here. We're actually near these peaks back in this area. If we scroll back in time, you can see how at the start of uptrends right here, we see a nice breadth expansion that's what kind of allows us to catch a lot of nice stocks off the bottom. Right now, we've already expanded quite a bit off these lows, but that doesn't mean that we can't just stay up here in terms of breadth. Just because we're high right here doesn't mean we're going to reverse down. It's a better kind of indicator on the downside when we're in a correction. We get near these low numbers, that you might want to be ready to expect some type of turnaround. To the highs here is just kind of good that we're trending the right way and seeing some good breadth. So moving on from SPY, let's take a look at IWO. Kind of smaller caps here. We had a very strong push off these lows, and now we're trending above that 10 EMA. When we get these super strong trends up here, and we've seen this with a lot of individual stocks as well, with earnings gaps, super strong off lows, the 10 EMA becomes kind of that key level on pullbacks because it's a little bit faster than the 21 EMA to look for potential support. And we had it right here. We had it again on Friday, and this looks just like it's trending above the 21 EMA, as well as all the key moving averages are aligned in the right way. And this is kind of the start of the new uptrend as defined by that 21 EMA right there. Moving on, we've got MDY. Again, looks kind of like almost a mixture between the SPY and the small caps, which kind of makes more sense. But this looks strong as well, closer to highs, and also being supported at that 10 EMA. IWM looks pretty similar to IWO. Again, finding support at that 10 EMA. UUP, nice strong rally the past 3 days, but looks overall to be in a downtrend. And you can see how it's acted previously as well. IBIT, this looks like it's just kind of basing again here. Good tails here off the longer term moving average. So, you know, if you're looking for a lower spot versus these lows, if we do reverse higher, would be a good spot to manage risk against. We did have this gap down. We tried to fill it. I'm not sure if we quite filled it here, but, you know, we're back below the shorter term moving averages, but still, you know, well up the right hand side, and we'll see if we can push higher, reverse back through the moving averages. Bitcoin is definitely more volatile to trade than the index ETFs, but there's a lot of potential here, and overall, you know, we're in this longer term basing period, and if we can find a spot here up the right hand side on a higher low, that could really get you going if we do eventually break through these highs and start another stronger uptrend. TLT looks like a reverse down hard on this past Friday below the 21 EMA, so it will be interesting to see if this falls through to the downside. And that's pretty much it for those mega caps, or not the mega caps, the ETFs. And now looking at the mega caps, let's run through these. Tesla, this is building a spot at these highs right here, right near the 21 EMA. This is potentially actionable for next week if you're looking to trade this name. You know, overall longer term underperformance, but potentially starting, you know, some type of longer term uptrend. It remains to be seen. We did have a power move up here, and now we're basically forming another base, and this is kind of the lows at the base, and we do have some higher lows forming versus that longer term moving average, and we'll see if this can reverse higher and retake the shorter term moving averages. Amazon loading that up, very strong action Friday, good support off, you know, this gap down. We held this close and we're rejected at this short term moving average, but pull back to the 200-day, and now we're pushing up higher again. Just looks like a longer term basing period and a start of the move up the right hand side of a base. Moving on to NVDA, obviously we had the gap down negative close here on Thursday. We tried to rally and try to have an oops reversal, weren't strong enough, reversed that back down. But what's key to me here is so far we haven't had any fall through to the downside after this bar. Yes, we broke the moving averages, but the next day is just an inside bar, again, right below the moving averages. A lot of people are getting very negative on this stock. They want it to fail, but we just kind of have to listen to what the price action says. And if we do reverse higher through this inside day, back through the moving averages, that could be a very good low risk spot to the long side. But you always have to be open-minded that we could, after this inside day, fall through to the downside, or if we build out more of a range here, this could become a bear flag. You have to remain open to the possibilities. You know, we'll take a look at maybe the earnings and sales later on. We are seeing a little bit of deceleration, but it's still really growing incredibly fast because it's NVIDIA. The only question is, you know, does everybody already own it? And, you know, is the growth going forward enough to continue to sustain a strong price move? Likely we won't have, you know, the 1,500% gain off the lows that we had since the beginning of 2023, but this could still be, you know, a solid trender, more turning into, you know, an Amazon, a Tesla, longer term, you know, leader that can still produce some really strong moves during market uptrends. Moving on, we've got Microsoft. Again, potential higher low here. So a lot of these kind of look similar, potential higher low up the right-hand side. Another reason to be a little bit more on the positive side. This one's a little bit weaker, but again, potential higher low on this Thursday low. Meta, definitely the strongest of the bunch. You can see we're right near highs, compressing against the 21 EMA. This looks actionable for next week if you're into trading the mega cap names. This would probably be the one to go to since it's shown this nice strength. And lastly, we've got Apple, which is also closer to highs. Not quite as nice a formation as Meta, but strong action since that gap down. And for me, that's telling that we had this nice response since these gap downs and refused to push lower. So that's pretty much it for the mega caps. And now I want to run through these performance charts. So this is a really nice way to visualize trends. Is I've got a watch list, and this is kind of a watch list preset if you're a DFU user, of these kind of major thematic ETFs over here. And you can basically choose what data points you want to plot them with. You know, you can do a whole bunch of stuff, ADR, RMV to look at tightness. You know, there's so many different things. I'm actually typing in here, look at all these data points that you can use to plot. But at the end of the week, what I like to do is do price percent change over not the 15 days, but over the past 5 days. And this gives a good sense of over the course of the week, how did these ETFs perform and how did these themes perform? And then just like a watch list, you can kind of link a chart here. This is the dashboard, which is fully customizable, and just kind of spacebar through and get a sense of, you know, how are these different ETFs performing. You can switch to a weekly chart. You can customize this however you'd like. And it's just a nice way to look and identify themes. You know, taking a look at the performance charts, Jets leading, which isn't, you know, a great sign, just kind of a reversion move. This isn't a longer term downtrend. You know, KRE has been strong, regional banking. I know a lot of people are watching the biotech theme. This is definitely very, very strong. And you've got, there was one more, biotech, well, medical devices, of course, has been a leading theme. This has been super strong. You can see nice trend here. But, you know, it's super easy in DFU to just spacebar through these different thematic ETFs and see which ones are building. You've got tech software. This is among the growth names. This is the area to be fishing in. You can see it looks a lot like, you know, SPY, QQQ, and looks like it's forming kind of a nice higher low versus those moving averages. Regional banking looks strong as well. This one, longer term downtrend. Biotech, definitely an area of focus, and we'll take a look at some names later on. Space exploration, cloud computing, and you can just kind of take a look through there. And then one more way that I really like to identify strength in the market, and I know I get this question asked, you know, every single video, how do you identify rotation? How do you identify the leading themes? Is in this, you can go ahead and let's go ahead and search RS rating. And let's do, well, we can do 1 week, but let's also go ahead and do AS rating. Let's do AS rating 1 week. So again, this is another way to look for those leading themes. This kind of structures the performance and rates it against each other. And again, you can go through and see what have been the strongest performing sectors over the past few weeks. In this case, 1 week. So that's it for the performance charts. You can also go through the sectors as well, and again, change those different data points. So now that we've got kind of the indexes covered, we've got the leading themes, you know, among them, you've got software in terms of the tech sector, you've got semiconductors, hopefully, you know, forming handles together and acting well. You've got biotech, healthcare, those are the leading themes, KRE as well. Home builders is definitely one sticking out as well. And with that, let's go ahead and run through the DFU leaders list and just take a look at some of the top performers. Affirm definitely caught my eye. You know, actionable through the HVC here. You can also watch for consolidation after this candle. We'll see if it kind of flags out, but huge volume coming in off this earnings gap. GDS just kind of trending. We'll kind of pick through which ones I want to focus on. ASPN, this is one I'm watching for next week. Nice DTL forming here, inside bar, right at that 10 EMA. I mentioned after a strong power move up, I'm watching for pullback consolidation to that 10 EMA area. We're getting that RMV, which measures the tightness. When this goes to 0, we're basically seeing really tight price action and potential for a nice turn or explosion. So I'm watching for this for a push through this high coming next week. GGAL, the South America companies are acting really well. Melly as well in the space, acting really strong, just trending above that 10 EMA. but this one broke out on Thursday, a nice fall through to the upside Friday as well. TEM, this is a recent IPO. Really nice price expansion here. Definitely a little bit more volatile, but we are seeing compression in ranges a little bit again, right near that 10 EMA area, especially actionable next week as well. This is a good kind of day trade, swing trade type name. The best, ideal entry was back here from this tight area, but it's testing that 10 EMA area, 21 EMA area is coming up as well. But you can see how ranges are a lot wider here, and this one can really move. So definitely, be quick with those stops and know what you're dealing with this name. Moving on, Kava, definitely going to take a look at this. So very strong action, breakout on earnings. Now it pulled back to the earnings gap low as well as the 10 EMA. Good response on Friday from that level, from this level here. And I love, one more inside day, maybe, an upside reversal here, and then a rally and kind of a U-turn after this earnings gap. I don't like this gap down as well as this gap down, but as long as we hold near this low, I consider this still potentially actionable, and I really like the weekly chart. If we go to that, this just looks like a model book stock. If you, compare it to the names in William O'Neill's book, How to Make Money in Stocks, you've got initial consolidation base here, pretty much first stage base, second stage base, and now, you could wait for a pullback to the 10-week moving average. This has nice respect for that. Or you could look for swing trades and alternate entries now that it's already broken out of this base after a super powerful move up, and look at the volume coming in as well. That's great to see. Going back to this screen, CRDO, this is a semiconductor name. Let's open up the data panel. We can actually see what industry this is in, as well as the top names within that industry. SMTC, we can go to that. CRDO is acting well. AOSL, a lot of these are kind of forming handles. You can see, similar formations. AVGO in here is forming a handle as well. But overall, I don't think this sector looks like it's about to collapse, even though NVIDIA obviously below the moving averages. We mentioned potentially holding there and reversing back up. And a lot of these names, if NVIDIA does that, will likely, push out of the handles that they've been forming. AVGO is one worth watching next week as well. More of a, mega cap liquid type name right near the 21 EMA. We've got earnings coming up. We've got the nice earnings flags in deep view that show September 5th. So this could be on watch for an earnings gapper as well. Let's keep running through the names here. We went to Kava, PRCT forming out a flag here. Watching this one, you can see where my alert is. App, this one acting well, push from, this short-term flag here last week. Duolingo, nice action off these lows and now kind of consolidating right near this potential resistance level, forming a little bit of a handle here. It has to deal with this gap here. So if it can push higher here, this is part of a longer term base that started basically back in early December of last year. KVO, this is one that's been consolidating near this key resistance level. Nice upside reversal Friday, so we'll see if we can fall through to the upside on Tuesday. MNDY, this one's acting really well. Retested that DTL on Friday. Strong close. This would have been a really nice actionable spot, as well as the prior day on Thursday. And let's see, CrowdStrike. This one obviously had the sell-off, the huge sell-off, but overall, has been holding up well. We'll see how it deals with this overhead supply. These gap zones, you can see here, this has been resistant so far, but a wick setup into next week. So this will be interesting to watch next week as well. SN, this has been super, super strong since this earnings gap. Nice consolidation, basically a 3 weeks tight, and then upside reversal, oops reversal on this day, inside day, fall through up, and then more fall through. Great close as well. This is within kind of the IPO run phase of this name. PLTR, let's bring up this one. Another one that had a nice DTL break on Thursday, inside day on Friday, so potentially actionable next week, or you could have picked it up off the 21 EMA, or the ideal buy point really on this day, the 8th, as it pushed through this kind of subtle pivot here after, strong response to earnings, gap up, couldn't push higher on this day, closed low, then positive expectation breaker because we had a gap up and strong move higher. Let's keep on going here. Uber, this one is definitely potentially actionable next week. We have this key resistance level that we're consolidating at, but super strong off these lows, holding that 21 EMA and now forming out this handle. And we'll see if we can finally push higher from that move. ONON, very strong action. Again, this would have been a nice spot, either upside reversal versus this key pivot, or the next day as it followed through and gapped and go. And now we're a little bit short-term extended. We are forming a short-term flag here, but not really enough consolidation for a position trade for sure, but maybe not even a swing trade. And we'll see what happens with this name. If it can continue to form out nicely. Let's add the earnings and sales. Really nice growth here, but we did actually surprise negatively. But so far, a good response after this huge kind of shakeout candle on earnings. Let's see here if there's any others that I really want to focus on. KLAC, this is an example of the semiconductors forming out a handle. Looks really strong, and we'll see what happens here. But this is still a little bit dependent on NVIDIA if it can rally and hold. But overall, if you're just looking at this in isolation, you've got basically a strong correction, big upside reversal, power move up, and now handling into that 21 EMA, kind of classic EMA crossback, which is definitely potentially actionable. Let's see if there's any others that I want to mention. SG has been a little bit disappointing. We had this gap down after it failed to fall through, and it hasn't quite been the same. We are right near this low, so we'll see if it can kind of build out a flag here and rally up. But definitely a negative that wasn't able to hold closer here, even though it did, even if it consolidated up here, that would have been fine, but we did kind of leak below these lows. So we'll see if this can kind of build out more within this longer term base. Moving on, Cyber in that same space as CrowdStrike, but much closer to highs inside day. Nice action off this pivot. We'll see if this can push out and trend. Looks pretty good. IoT earnings coming up, nice action off the 21 EMA. So we'll see how that does. And overall, you can see within the software space, we mentioned this is a leading area. U has been super strong. CLBT, very strong. Zeta just trending really nicely. Could have bought it, on this base breakout or this pullback to 21 EMA up the right-hand side, or this undercut and rally right here. But this has just been trending really nicely. Doesn't even look like the market corrected during this period, really showing relative strength. And let's see if there's any others I really want to focus on. INSM. So in the biotech space, this one is a recent earnings gapper. It's definitely more speculative, smaller cap name, but really tight to end out the week, and nice upside reversal. So we'll see if this can push higher and this can really move. You can see this bar up 12% and this bar, of course, up 118%. Really compressed here. But again, this is more for a day trade, swing trade type name. So overall, I think that's pretty much what I want to run through today. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are some names that you're watching for next week? Give me one or two, and let me know your thoughts on the stocks that we went over today. But overall, thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'll be doing this, regularly again. Now that, I've had some projects I've been working on, I've taken up a lot of my time, but now I'm able to focus on this a little bit more. So hopefully you appreciate them. Let me know in the comment section what you'd like to see from me and my channel, as well as the Traderline channel going forward. And I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.